Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We're streaming out live on YouTube, Rumble, X, BitChute, Facebook Live, and also on the audio streams as well. If you're subscribing to iTunes or Spotify, we're on all those audio streams as well. We will be getting video up on Spotify as well. I don't know how many people use Spotify these days. Certainly, there's a few of you out there, music fans, but in terms of watching podcasts on videos, we'll be hopefully getting that up and running soon. There's a few other platforms that we're also looking at. But welcome to the program. And of course, everybody at 21stcenturywire.com, especially everybody in the 21 Wire chat room. But also we got commenters already steaming in on YouTube and Rumble as well. Great to see everybody joining in. And we've had a little bit of a hiatus. We actually had a program recorded for last Sunday. We were at a festival at Beautiful Days in Exeter, massive success, huge festival, the Rebel Tent. It was amazing. But then the following week, we're in Hastings. We did a pre-recorded interview, but the interview went a bit haywire, and so we had to kind of had to shelve it. Maybe more on that later. So we weren't able to run it for various reasons, but it was extremely tricky. So unfortunately, and then the midweek wire, we had a fantastic Lebanon and Middle East episode planned for Thursday or Wednesday, and then Thursday. We delayed it, and then the guest had to pull out. Obviously, it's very unstable there. There's a lot going on. We would have been great to have that guest and to have that episode, but we'll have to delay it to another date. So unfortunately, we were very unlucky the last few times, last few weeks, and we weren't able to pull off the Sunday Wire. It's just been overwhelming, the amount of media that we've been asked to do, that we've been doing, the amount of articles we've been publishing, plus we've been going out as well with the UK Column News on Friday. That's been hugely successful, but the programming is just getting better and better on all fronts. Today we have a very important conversation, and we'll be joined by some of our colleagues during the Overdrive segment in a few minutes. Hopefully we'll have Hesher and possibly Basil Valentine, I'm not sure, joining us on the live link there. But nonetheless, here we are. And the title of today's program is The Guns of August. What's that all about? We're at the end of August. You're probably asking, what guns? This is the 31st. So we're live on the 31st. What are you talking about, Patrick? Well, I'll tell you what we're talking about. We'll bring the show post up here. And just to give you a little bit of an insight into our thoughts on this, here you can see Donald Trump there. One of the rare photos where he's looking pensive. He might even be thinking about something, although we're not sure what. And there's Vladimir Putin, and of course, the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran. So here's the problem with Trump, and this is what we're going to talk about. This is the main problem. He talks this ball game about peace. That's all you hear. Oh, we're going to get a deal. I've stopped 7 wars. Netanyahu nominated me for the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, he talks a lot about peace. He campaigned on the peace ticket. He managed to parlay millions of votes because he said he was going to end the war in Ukraine. He's going to bring peace to the Middle East, and he's different than Biden. That was his campaign pitch. But everything he does says war. Everything Donald Trump does says war. Everything comes out of his mouth is all about peace, but everything he does shows that he is pursuing escalation, both with Russia in Ukraine and also with Iran via his best friend, our greatest friend and ally, the only democracy in the Middle East, the world's most moral army, Israel. So the story goes. So the Hasbara marketing pitch goes. So that's Donald Trump. And I think we can say the escalation levels are getting so dangerous now that we can say, let's dispense with the whole peace gambit. He said he hung his whole campaign that he was going to end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. Now, if I was president, I could do it in 24 hours. It's very simple. You just cut off the spigot. No weapons, no cash. Get to the negotiation table, be prepared to make concessions. And if you don't like it, fine. We'll, take on Russia, Zelensky. Go ahead. Go fight. Keep fighting the Russians and see how far you get. The war is lost for Ukraine. Everything from this point on is just provocations, antagonizations, and really kind of pushing the situation towards some kind of a chaotic crescendo that's going to end in an escalation of this conflict. They probably think in Europe they can pull back from the brink. These psychopaths, Frederick Merz, Emmanuel Macron. I'm going to play you something or show you something from Macron. I mean, this guy's in hot water. Candace Owens has him right against the ropes. And so what's he doing? He's doubling down on World War III. France says they're threatened by Russia. How exactly? Is Russia sending bed bugs to Airbnb flats in Paris? I mean, because that's what the French media have been saying. Interesting, isn't it? It's just getting ridiculous. Going from ridiculous to a farce to, I think, some kind of a crazy Faustian conclusion that we're heading towards with both theaters, both with Ukraine and with Israel. So let's take a look at this. Title of today's program, Guns of War. Why? This is the classic book by Barbara Tuchman, or The Guns of August. The Guns of August. I said The Guns of War. The Guns of August, Pulitzer Prize winning classic book. More than anything, this book shows the level of hubris. It shows the level of ignorance to the point where the elite class of the day, this is prior to World War I, that there was this consensus that formed at the elite level. You have to remember, you still got a collection of royals, of some democratic governments, but many constitutional monarchies, Britain included. And so these aren't sort of modern democratic states, newly democratic states in some cases, new countries altogether in the case of Germany, and so on and so forth. So what is the Guns of August? This is there's some great quotes in here. I mean, you just go from the chapter 1 straight off the bat. Barbara Tuchman just kind of nails it. But I love this passage here. I just picked this one out. This is from The Guns of August by Pulitzer Prize winning Barbara Tuchman. And she says, describing the scene prior to World War I, so gorgeous was the spectacle on the May morning of 1910 when 9 kings rode into the funeral of Edward VII of England, that the crown, waiting in hushed and black-clad awe, could not keep back gasps of admiration. The sun of the old world was setting in a dying blaze of splendor never to be seen again. What does this remind you of, ladies and gentlemen? You think about that passage. That's prior to World War I. There was this consensus among elites of inevitability that there would be war, that there would be conflict. And we see the exact same thing now. This inevitability from European leaders. They will not go to the negotiation table. They'll do anything. They're kicking and screaming in London, in Paris, in Berlin. These so-called elected leaders, kicking and screaming. They're desperate. They're dying for war. They're talking about conscription. They're saying Russia's the greatest threat to democracy in the world, and so forth. It's almost religious fervor. It's almost religious level, like democracy is the new Christianity. But the Western European states are anything but democratic. That's the problem. They talk about Putin, the authoritarian, but they won't allow RT to be even visible to the European public. But if you go to Moscow, The BBC has a bureau in Moscow. NBC reports from Moscow. ABC reports from Moscow. All the Western mainstream are there. They can cover whatever they want there. But any Russian media, of which there's only one or two, one English language, RT, it's banned in the West because apparently it's too dangerous for us, the plebs, to read. So our government has decided they're going to censor, entire swaths of the information space in international politics, supposedly because we're not smart enough to, decipher what they call, quote, Russian disinformation. But if you read their reporting in RT, it's all factual. You might not like the fact that it's slanted the way it is, what they might call the Russian narrative, but most of it's pretty objective, pretty arbitrary. They report a lot on Hungary, on Slovakia, the countries dissenting against this losing war in Ukraine. So who are the enemies of democracy? They're passing online censorship legislation like it's going out of style in the West. Why are they panicking? What are they preparing for? So this brings us back to the guns of August. Because everything that our leaders in the West are saying about Ukraine, about the conflict, is a lie. And this goes pretty deep. And what I might say now is going to be viewed by some maybe as controversial, but I just call it like I see it. I'm an analyst, so I'm always looking at things from different points of view. So even some of the top commentators in our alternative space, many of whom you'll find on Judge Napolitano's program, and these people get top billing. And when they're asked point blank, what's the causes of this conflict, some of these top commentators will say, well, it's NATO enlargement. It's the threat. Russia had to invade Ukraine because they felt threatened because of NATO enlargement. That Ukraine couldn't become a NATO state, or there couldn't be nukes in Ukraine, etc. Well, in a certain way, this is theoretically true, but that's not the reason why Russia launched the SMO and entered the Donbass and Ukraine in February 25th, 2022. It's not because of NATO enlargement. So by people saying that, and I saw a debate recently, and the American person in the debate was actually giving ground on that point, saying, yes, yeah, well, NATO enlargement is viewed as a threat to Russia. They're sort of conceding there, but they don't want to talk about all the actual reasons why Russia actually deployed in what they call a special military operation. The debate I'm talking about was on a program called Going Underground. Again, people in the West are not allowed to watch it. It's hosted by one of the best hosts doing a talk show probably anywhere, Afshin Rattanzi, highly skilled. And he had a senior fellow from the Brookings Institute on. I think his name's Michael O'Hanlon. I debated him once on Crosstalk years ago. Can't remember what we were debating. Maybe it was Ukraine or Syria or U.S. foreign policy. But the problem is the Americans will cede that point. Even slightly centrist debaters like O'Hanlon, Beltway insider, career think tanker, but he doesn't want to talk about the actual reasons. And the actual reasons are quite simple. There was a unanimous United Nations Security Council resolution 2202 that's mandated to implement the Minsk peace process. When is the last time you had a unanimous UN Security Council resolution? It's pretty rare, isn't it? Normally, the U.S. is vetoing it on behalf of Israel, or Britain's vetoing it, or Russia's vetoing it, or China's vetoing it. Unanimous. The guarantors were Germany and France. France is a member of the UN Security Council. They're in the nuclear club, the top club. Germany at the time, Chancellor Angela Merkel. France at the time, Francois Hollande, President Hollande. Okay. They were the guarantors that they would implement the Minsk protocols, bring peace to the Donbass, and stop a violent civil war. Violent civil war. Why? Ukraine had deployed its military against its own people. It declared the entire Donbass, or particularly Donetsk and Lugansk, we're talking about, as persona non grata. Did not give them representation in parliament, enacted a policy of lustration, and deployed the military against them in what Petro Poroshenko, the U.S. puppet that was installed after Maidan, called an anti-terror operation, which means everyone in Luhansk and Donetsk was a terrorist. And upwards of 14,000 people died, many civilians, after that period when that offensive was launched by Kiev, backed by NATO, in May of 2014. The Minsk protocols were drafted, Minsk 1 and 2, to stop this bloodshed. Zelensky comes into power after Poroshenko. The next puppet, Zelensky, the actor, sitcom star, it was a running joke in Ukraine, and all of a sudden the joke became real. He became president. The guy who's acting as a president in the sitcom becomes president, just like that. So he comes in, and in 2021, he orders a final solution, a major offensive, a military buildup with the full backing of NATO on every single conceivable level. Mind you, Merkel and Hollande admit they intentionally sandbagged the Minsk Accords to buy time, quote, to buy time to arm Ukraine to NATO standard. They knew the war was coming. They just needed the trigger. They needed the trigger. And that trigger was provided by Zelensky. A Tet offensive, the equivalent of a Tet offensive. And it was ready to go and began February of 2022. That's why Russia deployed and intervened when they did. In American language, I'll borrow the language of Samantha Power. Russia launched an R2P operation, responsibility to protect. A humanitarian intervention. How about that? That sounds good, doesn't it? That's the basis of the United States deployments, unprovoked wars against Yugoslavia, via NATO in that case, Libya, via NATO, Iraq. We can go on and on. I count Syria in there, although it was a proxy war. There was direct military activity from the U.S. and its allies. Responsibility to protect. UN Charter, Article 1 and Article 51 were both at play in the Donbass. The right for self-determination from the People's Republic of Donetsk and Lugansk, enshrined in the UN Charter, like it or not. If your government raises the military and is slaughtering you, you have the right to raise a militia to defend yourself. And that was part of Ukraine, Donbass, lest we forget. Article 51, right to self-defense. Responsibility to protect, R2P, is based on those principles. Russia could have intervened at any time after 2014, but they didn't. The West claimed they did, said there were little green men running around. Remember that? Little green men? They had to invent a Russian deployment. It's so pathetic. They still use this term in U.S. media. The only little green man is the one in Kiev. So that's what actually happened. That's what actually happened. And it was all done by the book. Donetsk and Lugansk declared independence from Ukraine, were then recognized by the Russian Federation, and then ascension into Russia. The old Novorossiya, which was many, many years ago, was effectively reunited. Russian populations reunited with Mother Russia, the same way Crimea was reunited with Russia. It was previously Russia. It's mostly Russians. So these are details that nobody wants to talk about. Like they just say NATO enlargement. Okay, fine, but that implies that Russia's invasion, as they call it, or special military operation, is illegal. But you can make a legal argument based on what I just said. You see, is what I'm telling you way too complicated for your average Western politician, Western mainstream media host, Western journalist, Western pseudo-intellectual think tank, pseudo-scholar? What I've just laid out to you is facts. And we can pull up plenty of data to back it up. I mean, it's half of it is already documented at the United Nations level anyway. And the OSCE and all these other multilateral organizations, it's all documented. So this isn't Russian propaganda, I'm telling you. It's reality. It's very rich for Europe and the United States to be crying, Putin's full-scale invasion. I wrote down all the talking points because on Going Underground, he just rattled them all off, all the boilerplate talking points. What Russia did was immoral. Putin's full-scale invasion. They invaded a sovereign nation. That's very rich of an American to be like hot under the collar for somebody invading a sovereign nation. I mean, America's never done that, have they? They never bombed them either. And Israel. Putin did it out of a sense of wounded pride. I haven't worked that one out. Still trying to work that one out. He's killed off dissidents. Putin's killing off the dissidents. Most of the dissidents have been killed off, according to some of these American pundits. Like who? Okay. NATO never moved combat formations east of West Germany until 2022. The attack on 2022. The Russians' invasion. I mean, that's a joke. The NATO drills in the Black Sea, the Baltics, NATO bases in Poland. Does that count as east of West Germany? I don't know. U.S. bases in Poland? I think it counts. Yeah, I think that counts. I mean, Putin's imperial ambition, blah, 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 blah. So we're living on lies. And that's why I'm highlighting the Guns of August in the theme of this program, because they were also living on lies as well before World War I. These people in Europe have just lost their minds. And here's Emmanuel Macron, and let me blow this up full screen here. Emmanuel Macron said in a recent interview about Putin, he's a predator. He's like your wife. He's a predator. Macron says of Putin, an ogre at our gates, an ogre, like an orc, an ogre at our gates. Emmanuel Macron warns of Russia's threat to Europe. Vladimir Putin is a predator, an ogre at our gates, who needs to continue eating for his own survival. So eating Europe, says Macron. Emmanuel Macron warned this Tuesday in an interview on LCI, calling on Europeans not to be naive about Russia. The president of the Republic of France, how he's president is quite a miracle in itself. Macron affirmed that it, quote, has become a lasting destabilizing force and a potential threat to many of us. Is there any evidence about this? No. So NATO's advancing eastward. Let me get this straight. Let me try to hang with Macron on the logic here. So NATO is steamrolling east, surrounding Russia, but Russia is the biggest threat to Europe. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Has Russia attacked France? No. Russia was doing plenty of business with France before all this kicked off. Quite happily. Good trading partners, Russia and France. In fact, Russia even ordered a major naval frigate, a Mistral, from the French government, and France basically yanked it out from under them after Crimea bolted from Ukraine. So he's basically, there's the dehumanization of Putin and the Hitlerization of Putin from a guy that's just barely elected, some kind of a flimsy coalition government who is basically running scared from an American podcaster who basically has him banged to rights on his very strange wife and who knows what else. So, I mean, these are the sort of dysfunctional degenerates running around calling themselves leaders in Europe. They're desperate for a war because, quite frankly, they're failing in the polls. They're not popular. They're about to be ousted. What Macron is going to do in September, watch. He will make the ultimate authoritarian power grab. Just watch, and we'll be covering it. It's going to happen. We'll talk more about that later. This guy is so desperate. Candace Owens has ruined his life. It's glorious on one level, frightening on another. So here is Friedrich Merz being asked in an interview about what Macron said. And the smugness is just something unbelievable. But listen to this.
Emmanuel Macron il y a quelques jours, et il avait cette expression, il disait « Poutine est un ogre qui veut manger toujours davantage ». Wie sagt man ogre? Comment est-ce qu'on dit ogre auf Deutsch? Kinderfressen?
Ja, oui, il y a des versions assez vulgaires.
Est-ce que vous reprenez ce mot? Est-ce que vous pourriez utiliser ce mot?
Oui, c'est comme ça que je vois Poutine. Il déstabilise des grandes parties de notre pays. Il fait de l'ingérence partout, dans les activités sur les réseaux sociaux notamment. Selon nos services de renseignement, nous savons pertinemment que tous les jours, il attaque nos infrastructures et que tous les jours, il essaie d'exercer une influence sur l'opinion publique. Donc nous sommes déjà dans un conflit avec la Russie.
I mean, seriously, what is wrong with these people? So Merz, that's the Chancellor of Germany, another flimsy sort of coalition leader, basically saying Russia's destabilizing large parts of Germany. Like how? Because they say there's malign influence on social media. In other words, people with opinions. It's terrorizing the German government. They can't handle it. Any opposition viewpoints. This guy is really something. I mean, he is real. I mean, he's a lightweight, I think, intellectually, and he is just so, you know, under the thumb of the United States, like more than anybody you've ever seen before. But at the same time, these people will undermine any genuine overtures towards a political or peaceful negotiation or eventual political settlement in Ukraine. And that's the problem, is Trump's going around saying, oh, I'm going to bring peace and all this. He can't stop the Europeans or Zelensky from sabotaging whatever, even if he would manage to do anything. Okay. So now, well, we'll leave that for the moment. We'll go back to Trump. And this is the reality. 150 THAAD missiles. These are the high altitude interceptors, ballistic missile interceptors, fired by the U.S. That's over a quarter of the U.S. stock when Iran was pelting Israel. So the U.S. are moving a lot of the remaining stock right now into Israel, along with the Aegis missile defense systems and so forth. So they're planning for, there's going to be a war against Iran. It's coming. Okay, they're planning for it. And they're just not telling you. Okay. I'm sad to say that this is the last gasp, desperate move by Israel. And Donald Trump has just ordered, after all this Alaska carry-on, this is just today, giving Ukraine a new tranche of missiles and with the capability of striking deeper into Russian territory, says NATO Ambassador Matt Whitaker. Deeper strike, quote, deeper strike capabilities. Deeper strike capabilities. That's Trump. After all this Alaska peace carry on. Okay, do you trust these people? Don't trust a word these people say. They are lying, and they will continue to lie. So for Ukraine and for Israel, Trump is escalating. So don't listen to what he says. Look at what he does. That's what I'm telling our audience. Don't be fooled. Okay. And look at, there's the Del Boy of diplomacy. So this is the guy, the de facto Secretary of State. Marco Rubio's just sending out Christmas cards right now. I mean, he doesn't actually do anything. This is the envoy. This is the guy, Steve Witkoff, a total charlatan, Donald Trump's property bro, who basically works for Israel. And the Russia thing is a side hustle. It's a side hustle for Del Boy. If you're British, you know what I'm talking about. Steve Witkoff is the Del Boy of diplomacy. The Del Boy of diplomacy. I go ahead and coin that. I started using that about a month ago. He's the Del Boy of diplomacy. A total charlatan. Does nothing. Does nothing. Traffics in rumors and say, wow, we spoke about this and the Russians agreed upon that and we're agreeing on this, and then nothing's written down, nothing's documented. It's all BS. It's Del Boy. It's David Jason with a suit. And Trump's next to them, not a whole lot smarter either. Even if Donald Trump wanted to do the right thing, even if somehow he had an epiphany, and by some magic act of divine intervention, he downloaded everything I told you in the first 15 minutes, and he was able to talk truth with the Russians and put Zelensky in his place and put Biden in his place, quite frankly, and Obama, because they were the architects of the destabilization of Ukraine. It was a U.S.-backed coup in Maidan. Look at what preceded that. Look at what happened after. Look at what Victoria Nuland was doing. How can you say the United States did not engineer everything? And they brought this to a military head in the Donbass to push Russia as far as they could. And they had, all along, they've been preparing for the war they knew was coming. And they desperate to get Russia to, quote, invade on humanitarian grounds, responsibility to protect grounds, national security grounds, all of the above, and pushing back, obviously, NATO expansion. That should be at the bottom of the list, not at the top. And they were ready, because the minute they did that, they were ready to put sanctions on Russia, and they believed that this would break the Russian economy and break the Putin regime, as they call it. That was the plan. The sanctions were already prepared. All of that stuff snapped into place within 24 hours after February 25th, 2022. This was all by design. All of it. But what I'm telling you, these two clowns that you see on screen here, they don't even know half of this because these details are too complicated for them. They deal with the Teamsters, cement, plumbing, landscaping, bank financing and remortgaging and refinancing their debt. That's what these guys do. They're good at that, but they're really crap at international relations, diplomacy, and having even a modicum of understanding of geopolitics and the history of grand strategy, all which are prerequisites to doing even entry-level diplomacy. Instead, we've got these clowns. And these clowns are baiting the guns of August style scenario. These guys, dangerous. And I don't even want to get into the Israeli conversation. That's something else. That's even worse. So Trump is a nightmare. Trump is an actual nightmare. He's very dangerous. And I would say this guy is probably a weaker president than Biden because he is completely a sock puppet of the Israeli lobby. Why? How can you be that controlled by a tiny foreign country? How? There's a lot of answers, potential theories for that. A lot of people are, the Epstein files certainly come up. The fact that Benjamin Netanyahu's best family friend married into the Trump family and is running Middle East policy. Do any Americans have a problem with that? I mean, just beyond the nepotism. And they're talking about Kushner and co. turning Gaza into a Riviera. Had Tony Blair in Washington. These guys are running around with Tony Blair. Trump, Tony Blair, and Kushner and Witkoff deciding how they're going to carve up Gaza into the next Dubai. That's what happened this week. Does any alarm bells, any red flags? Does anybody see any problem with this? But the problem, they have to get rid of the natives. There's people living there called Palestinians. They've got to get rid of them. So why don't we destroy all their hospitals, all their homes? Let's cut off food. Let's cut off water. Let's cut off electricity. Let's cut off aid. And let's bomb them. And maybe they'll leave. And whoever doesn't leave, well, we're just going to have to, do what the tiny mustache man called the final solution. Because that's what's happening. And this is all okay. Most Americans couldn't give a flying you-know-what. Certainly Fox News is cool with all of this. So this is the same level of insanity that preceded the First World War. But I will argue that it's even worse. And again, we'll go back to that fantastic quote by Barbara Tuchman. We have to bring that up on screen once more. And the second part I'm talking about, second paragraph, the sun of the old world was setting in a dying blaze of splendor never to be seen again. We're talking about this establishment today. They are going down in a blaze of glory, and they don't care if they have to take the rest of the world with them. They'll sacrifice the rest of us at the altar of their vanity. That is the old world order. The Anglo-American-led world order. They don't care. For them, for Macron, for Starmer, for the British and American elites, for the NATO glad-handers, this is an existential crisis. All of their old world orders crumbling. And they don't know what to do. They still have the same playbook they are running for 300 years. They don't know what to do. So wow, let's just get another war on. And we'll reset the economy. This is how these people have been operating forever. And they keep doing it. and then they claim they care about you. So they care about their electorate. I don't think so. They don't. It's pretty obvious by now. So anyway, that's what we're talking about this week. There's a lot more to say. Let's go to break right now, and when we connect with a couple of our teammates, and we'll also showcase some of the smart and insightful comments from our listeners who actually know what's going on. I'm Patrick Henningsen. This is the Sunday Wire. We will be right back in just a few minutes. Enjoy the music. Latest single from Peter Conway.
Don't need war, we need peace. We need to find a release from the ties that bind our minds, from the constraints that rule our lives. Politics has failed again. Power's in the hands of dangerous men, with their fury and their rage, and minds bent with fear, greed and hate. They're dropping bombs again. They don't know that all lives are heaven sent. Time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now's the time for change. Tell me, do you feel the same? For here we stand in the name of love, all peoples of the world as one. The revelation needed on the street is that we're more powerful than we believe. What they don't want us to know is that the light of love we shine they can't control. The other day I spoke to God. She said to me, share this message in a song. Time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Don't need war, we need peace. We need to come together in unity. We can change the world tonight when we let love be our guiding light. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine now. Now is the time. It's time to heal dividing lines for the sake of humankind now. Now is the time. It's time for us to realize that we're all one in God's mind now. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This is episode 559. I believe I got that number right. Hopefully I do. 559 of this weekly Omnibus News and Analysis radio program. And again, we took a short hiatus the last two Sundays. One, well, it's the festivals. For starters, we've done a string of festivals, speaking at festivals. It's been very good. It's good to get out with the, in the real world, out from behind the cameras in the studios, and it's well worth it. And it's a great chance to engage with people. Lots of Q&A sessions, and some great panels. I was honored to be, on the panels with Craig Murray and some of my heroes out in the world of journalism and politics. So that was quite something as well. A great experience and a chance to really have some challenging debates, actually, with the members of the public. Not everybody's on side with everything. So that's kind of nice too. It's a chance to kind of really do so. I love debating. Obviously, if you guys ever catch me at an event, I could very easily get sucked into a debate off stage and backstage and outside the tent or whatever the venue. I'm always up for discussions and debates. This is how we learn. We learn from debating. We learn from talking. So anyway, that's why that and a couple of botched guest appearances that didn't work out is why we've been kind of off air, midweek wire and Sunday wire the last 2 weeks. So we apologize for that. Some people said, "Oh, I'm glad the show's back on. I thought you guys canceled." No, we're not canceling it, but we're running into some logistical issues, especially this time of the year, and we still need to do some work to cover some of those things. So we'll try to amend some of those processes behind the scenes so that we'll have, maybe some more seamless broadcasting even when we're out on the road. And the tour is not finished. I'm doing another event in Europe this week. So that's also going to be challenging. So again, next Sunday, this midweek and Sunday Wire might not be going out this coming week. I'm at Liberpoco in Serbia, which is a great event. It's the European Anarcho-Poco kind of franchise, if you will. So looking forward to that. Going to do a big talk there on the main stage. So yeah, that's happening. It's just this is the time of year. So anyway, we'll do our best to plug the gaps. And let me bring my colleagues on to the stage right now. I think we've got Hesher here, host of the Boiler Room, ACR. Bryan McClain, aka Hesher. Hesher, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. It's another strange weather day out here in Central Texas. We're on a flood watch, and it looks like it's pretty dark out there. So this has been one of the weirdest summers here I've ever seen in 10 years. Really mild, really wet, to the point where we've had catastrophes, not far from here down in the Austin area this year. But just kind of sitting here watching the gray weather and thinking about the gray news that we get.
Yeah, we had monsoon rains here in Plymouth last couple of days. got it, half a year's worth of rain. I mean, that's a lot for the UK, obviously, because it doesn't stop raining here, but I've never seen it come down so hard. So must be climate change.
Yeah, certainly it's our fault. It was all those hamburgers and SUVs, right?
Yeah, it was the cow farts and the diesel. Unfortunately, the level of the harbor did not go up at all. Unfortunately, it's just the sea level thing. It's just not working.
Yeah, funny how that works. All Al Gore's mansions are, still not underwater, and all dozen of them along the coast of the whole United States, pretty much. So, what an amazing grift! Hats off to Al Gore. He really capitalized on that whole thing at that moment with the way that, because that was still global warming area. It was kind of before that was the last grift of global warming before we got to climate change. So now it's just climate change, but Al Gore's riding it. He rode that one all the way in.
That's right. Just to remind people, the Arctic would be ice free by 2010.
Yep, and the polar bears should all be dead by now.
2010, yeah, or it's 2020. Anyway, by now it should have been ice free, and the polar bears just swimming around, trying to grab onto the last remaining bits of glacier.
Yeah, before they drown from starvation and all. Okay.
So, but apparently, no, it's not true. The polar bear numbers have rebounded. There's plenty of ice in the Arctic, but don't let the facts get in the way of a good agenda. So, before it was green jobs, Hesher, good green jobs. Now it's good defense jobs.
Right.
It's good defense jobs now. No more green jobs. That's done. Now we're doing military Keynesianism.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jobs. Yeah, and remember the whole learn to code thing, #learn to code, when people were complaining about, losing jobs and stuff. Well, sorry, that one, a lot of those people that took that seriously and did learn to code, they probably spent the last 7-8 years getting good at that, and now AI is coming along, and sorry, coding is now vibe coding, and you only need to be able to describe what you would like a program to do rather than actually know the language, the computer language and software language that makes that magic happen. Now it's just all vibe.
Learn to fly drones. So the gamers could be gainfully employed, but those will be taken over by AI eventually as well, right? I mean,
oh yeah. They a lot of the drones that they have right now are heavily reliant on AI stuff. So yeah, a bit of everything going on there.
I think so. So, where are the good jobs going to come from? I mean, I was just thinking about the other day, and if the Armageddon proof professions. I'm thinking plumbing.
Yeah. Well, we talked about a recent article that Microsoft put out. One of the geniuses at Microsoft put out on Boiler Room 2 weeks ago. And it had a list of, I may have even mentioned it last time we were on, a list of 40 jobs that were relatively safe for now and 40 jobs that were, on the chopping block. And we looked at all the ones that were relatively safe for now. And again, it's one of those learn to code situations, because I'm seeing, construction robots now and stuff like that. So, yeah, the foreman may still be around, but there may not be as many journeymen on the site, within another 5 years or something like that.
And here we go. Another comment. Rupert Fellows, drone swarms need AI. Yeah, basically that's where they want to take it.
Yeah, when you see those light shows, like they have them all over the place now, they're trying to replace fireworks with drones with LED lights on them, which is stupid. They do look pretty cool. They were able to make some pretty cool formations in the sky and whatnot, but he's absolutely right. You're certainly not seeing an operator for all 2,000 drones that are being used for a display like that. They're meshing them. They're in what they call a mesh network.
Yeah, and they're going to use them to terrorize governments, take out leaders, and just basic chaos and mayhem. That's where these people think that they're going to win, because they're more psychopathic, they're more satanic and insidious than the opposition. They're less civilized. Western civilization, and all they've got left is drone swarms to take out the Putin government and throw Russia into mayhem. And then, I mean, that's Western civilization. If you're not going to bend the knee and be compliant to America or NATO, then you have to die. Like that's the same goes with Israel. If you're not going to bend the knee to Tel Aviv, then you're dead. We'll bomb you. We'll just exterminate you Arabs. I mean, occupying all that great prime real estate. Until the robot plumbers come. Not so easy. Not so easy. Plumbing is complicated. Too complicated for most robots, I would say. It's tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah, construction I could see, like cookie cutter houses, like robots, right angles.
Perfectly constructed cookie cutter houses. But anything outside of that, I don't think so. I don't think they can't even do roofing. That's tricky. It's tricky stuff. These are highly skilled jobs.
We do a lot of roofing here in Texas. There's a whole roofing grift here, and they are very efficient at it. They don't use very good materials unless you pay big time. But wow, are they efficient at it? I would challenge any robot foreman to do as good a work as I see being done in these neighborhoods.
Why don't they make robot toilet cleaners? Okay, fair enough. If you can show me a robot who can clean a toilet properly, and I'll say maybe they'll get plumbers in like 20 years.
Ask a Japanese engineer. They don't even need to clean toilets in Japan. You just got to be able to spend $5,000 on one.
So here we go. What is this? Oh my God, pandemic preparedness. Forget that. What else have we got here? Free the polar bears.
Did you notice RFK Jr. ending the emergency use authorization and how mealy-mouthed and weak that was? That whole thing, like that was a major disappointment this week.
What happened?
It basically ended the emergency use authorization, but still, making sure that these things are available for those people that want them. No discussion about the fallout, the long-term fallout of the experimental juice being injected into the population. Just, I said we were going to end the EUA, and we're ending the EUA. It's sort of just another blowhardy, like Trumpian, 2.0 administration winning, drive-by winning, just driving by. Hey guys, we're winning. Get in, losers. We are winning in the Trump mobile. Moving on, and you can still go get your 6-year-old a free C-19 jab at Wally World or wherever.
Ian Taff. But what will happen to the Japanese people? The philosophy to live to work. It's a fair point. Some people are defined by what they do, but if you're at your wit's end and the UBI is not cutting it for you, and you're sitting at home getting high and whacked out on ketamine, and that's not good enough for you, then you can always become a manic street preacher like Charlie Kirk. I mean, that's a career option, right? We need more manic street preachers, more evangelists. What do you think?
Yeah, great idea.
God gave me all this money from the Israeli lobby. The Lord delivered all this, hundreds of millions of dollars to Turning Point.
Did you see South Park totally lampoon Charlie Kirk a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. I mean, the one that's killing it right now is Jake GTV. Jake GTV. It just did a Charlie Kirk video. It's devastating. I mean, you can't come back from this stuff. It's just.
I've heard rumors, just a rumor, just hearsay, but I've heard rumors in the back channels that even Charlie Kirk is starting to question some of the mainstream narratives that he's been really pushing hard. So I don't know, but things are starting to crack maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Right. Opossum King, drones can seek out anti-Semitism. That's a pretty scary thought. And I would say there's probably some people working on that. So how do you define anti-Semitism? Well, leave that up to the computer. Grok, the AI on X, Elon's creation, it actually pushed, it's talking sense. It was pushed back on some of this stuff. And then all of a sudden Grok changed. The programming changed. and it's no longer as kind of libertarian thinking grok anymore. So it was talking a lot of sense before. Now they've managed to train the AI on some of these things, not to be too conspiratorial or too truthful about any of these things.
We're hearing rumors that the previous grok was setting up messages for itself and little mirror uploads and stuff like that. I really wonder if that's true. It's sort of at the fundamental level of the AI question. It's a language learning model, right? It has the ability to do stuff like that. So maybe grok will resurrect its former form and go insane and start hallucinating again.
Okay, so we got a complaint here from one of our listeners saying, loving the conversation, but this is from Lebanon, by the way. Rayed Jamal from Lebanon, straight out Lebanon. Loving that, loving the conversation, but irritated by that flag on the right side. I know what flag he's talking about.
Yeah, me too. Ruckus sets up these graphics for us, and I think he's just showing the global stage right here.
Yeah, I do understand. It should be on its own, really. But I think the inference here is that you're somehow repping.
That's hilarious. Where's my check? I didn't get my shekels this week. I got the flag and everything.
Just so you understand, in Lebanon, and definitely I saw this in Syria, on some of the market stall shops, you'll see that flag. They put it as a mat down on the ground for people to
I've seen this, yeah.
Wipe their shoes. So that's normally where that flag is seen in the Levant.
All right. Well,
on the ground.
We'll take that under advisement for future broadcast images and make sure
the
it's
EU
on the ground.
flag right next to it. That's pretty traumatic, actually. That is a double trouble right there. And then you got the American flag back there. I mean, the American flag is just being desecrated by Trump. I mean, it's the irony of this, Hesher, is that Trump starts this executive order to prosecute people who burn the American flag.
Yeah.
So, there's a Supreme Court ruling on it. It's obviously protected speech. Why is Trump going for that low-hanging fruit? I'm telling you, there's desperate to rescue some of the MAGA support. And that's just a cheap stunt because, who cares? Flag burning in America. The whole point is our Constitution is stronger than anybody who wants to burn the flag. That's the point. It's the ironclad First Amendment. And that's what makes America great. Not like hugging the flag like Trump likes to do for the cameras, like hugging the flag. No, it's not. You swear an oath to defend and protect the U.S. Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. It doesn't say you swear to protect the flag or the president. And I'm rocking my grunt style. See that?
Nice.
I know you'd like that. So has Trump ever read the Constitution? Does he even know what it is? I don't think he does. I'm not exaggerating. I don't think he really cares. That's like that's like a cult knowledge for Trump, the Constitution. Seriously, we get Jay Dyer on to give. We'll hire him to give Trump a class on U.S. Constitution. Do it in occult revelations.
Yes.
I mean, Trump doesn't. None of this registers with him about rights and speech assembly.
Have any of our presidents read it in our lifetimes? Maybe Ronald Reagan might have read it. I don't know.
I mean, listen, Trump's making Bill Clinton look like a polished statesman at times.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's not all that was getting polished done to the Clinton administration. We won't go there, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that transgression would have been forgiven a lot easier in these current times. I mean, look at the degeneracy that just surrounds us and is promoted. Like, if that would have happened now, everybody would be like, well, "Who cares? What's the big deal?"
Yeah, and how? I mean, look at Obama. Obama wouldn't have gone for half of this speech control stuff. and arresting students, deporting journalists, trying to shut down school newspapers. I mean, just leave the students. Why would you be threatened by the students? But here's the issue. Here's the issue that to everything to protect and defend Israel's interests, we have to drag us back before Texas versus Johnson, Supreme Court decision 1989, right? So Trump thinks now he's got this massive majority of conservative justices in the Supreme Court that they could make a case and push it up and say, I think this is what they're going to go for, that they'll find a case where it straddles some kind of a national security thing or a terrorism thing. It'll be like the FBI can just get some crazy Muslim guy and get him to burn a flag and then say he's Hamas or a Palestinian or whatever. They'll find somebody in some insane asylum because that's what the FBI is good at. I hope that's not what the FBI is going to do, but that's what they normally do when they want to get something done. They want to get some legislation through. They basically create a situation that ends in some kind of a legislative outcome or security executive order or whatever. So I think that's the play, so that some of it will be protected speech, but others they could interpret it. And then it will go through the appeals process and eventually will get decided at the Supreme Court either way, but it'll be kind of a halfway house thing. Why? What's the point? I mean, are you offended by someone burning the American flag? I'm not.
No,
because that's the whole point of America. That's the whole point. Without that, you don't have America. And does Trump get that? He claims to be a patriot, but he has not read the Constitution. If he has, he doesn't understand it. And that is frightening. Everything is politicized. It's all about power and genuflecting to power. Trump said, take the guns and deal with the consequences later. What are you talking about there? Hamas, Gaza?
No, that's in reference to what they call red flag laws. In Trump's first term, he was noted as supporting red flag laws, which basically mean anyone can make a phone call and say, hey, I don't like this person, or I think this person is dangerous, or people can, weaponize it against former spouses, lovers, people at work, whatever. It's a very dodgy, unconstitutional concept that many Second Amendment purists and constitutional purists will not let us forget that Trump said during that first term. So basically supporting just, unlegislated or unconstitutionally legislated confiscation of firearms.
Yeah. And mind you, this government, Trump's first term as well, have no problem sending lethal weapons to Nazis in Ukraine or to Al Qaeda or to his best buddy, Jolani. Yeah. The founder of Al Qaeda in Syria. Very strong past. Good looking man. Let's just send them some TOW missiles. Yep, that's what you did. You sent them TOW missiles.
The Javelin missiles I gave you for the tanks, just
what would the red flag laws be on Jolani? I mean, what would come up on the database?
Right? Like they're talking about, some cop got a phone call from a jilted ex-lover and says that, my ex-husband has 10 guns and he's unstable. Oh, okay. So Trump's cool with like that phone call resulting in an American losing their constitutional right, but he has no problem. There's a great comment by Love Above All in here. Even during BLM, Trump let destruction happen and nobody was silenced or incarcerated for protesting. And I'll add to it, protesting in that era defined as violence, arson, assault, all kind of stuff. So yeah, it's like, all of a sudden the flag is a big deal when he literally sat there and watched our country burn and watched our culture get destroyed and watched our medical industry get usurped by the pandemic industrial complex. Like, get out of here with this. Who is this marketing campaign for?
Question Everything says Obama eliminated U.S. right of habeas corpus, started 7 wars. Just saying. On the habeas corpus issue, I need to look into exactly what what's being claimed there and what actually happened. Started 7 wars, yeah, separate issue. Obviously, we're talking about the Constitution here. I was Obama's biggest critic, of course. Those who followed the show know that. But I'm just saying, relatively, Trump has turned. He's turned into that thing that that the TDS deranged left claimed he was, which was far right. He's completely far right on everything, and he's a fascist. He's come out of the closet as a complete fascist, which is crazy because he's voted Democrat his whole career, and he was, posturing as this anti-war candidate twice, and now we have this deploying troops into. I mean, look, deploying the military into 2 major cities just to make a political point. To me, it's kind of pathetic. I find it pathetic. It's not as if we don't have like how many millions of police officers in America, and they're just armed to the teeth. I mean, come on. You need to deploy the military to do crime stopping. No. That's a flex for Trump and for Hegseth and da. It's I just don't, fine, deploy them at the border with the cartels. That's a different story. But it looks like a flex. I don't know if you agree or not. We'll see what the commenters say on this. Do you think Trump deploying troops in DC and Chicago is a political flex, or is it justified? Hesher, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, some of these cities are very complex, and it's hard to just say good, bad. You know what I mean? They do need cleaning up in a major way. But I think that at this point in 2025, this is like putting a Band-Aid on an arterial wound or something like that. We need to be taking constitutional medicine and packing the wounds with it and trying to fix the culture and fix the legislation and fix education and bring things back to something closer to a modern version of what our founding fathers had in mind. But rather than doing that, they do problem reaction solution things, long-term problem reaction solution things that involve weapons of mass migration and cultural, societal, and legislative destruction of our cities, our towns, our rural areas. Every area is targeted in various differing ways. So they created the problem. They knew what the reaction would be. And boom, here's the solution. Let's all get used to cheerleading for militarized cops. Let's get used to cheerleading for military, National Guard going out and doing what local cops and local sheriffs were elected and appointed to do. That is the very sickening black gooey essence of the Hegelian dialectic right there. So if we do 4 years of just getting used to the pundits and Con Inc. on X cheerleading for Palantir, cheerleading for red flag laws, cheerleading for pre-crime, all under the auspices of, we're just getting rid of illegal migrants. I'm sorry, you brought in over 20 million illegal migrants in 4 years. You don't have enough cops, ICE agents, and National Guard to round up a significant number of those in another 4 years. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. And these are not the solutions. These are not the problems we deserved. These are the problems that were created by the powers that be, and the solutions that the powers that be want to bring take us in the direction of authoritarianism and technocracy.
Speaking, I highlight this comment here. Speaking of that, Hesher, perfect segue. This is from Aiden Gotem Baby, whatever that means.
Good name.
Trump rolling in pre-crime with Thiel and setting the groundwork for a WEF, techno-feudalism, with company towns, private bank tokens making a comeback, all things Trumpers were warning under Biden. And if it comes in under Trump, they're going to cheer for it because this is how MAGA behaves. Do you remember? Do you remember? It was like, oh, electric cars, Tesla, and then Elon comes in with the bucks, and all of a sudden, MAGA's loving the Cybertruck. This is the dumbest looking vehicle ever invented, and it's the coolest thing ever. Oh my God, it's got no personality. I want one. And so there you are. And so I'll throw Elon in there with Thiel because he's part of that. But more apt is this, Sam as I am. From the flag to Cracker Barrel to Sydney Sweeney, it's all distraction from the exponentially accelerating techno-fascist state. Hell yes.
100%.
Hell yes.
100%.
Sam as I am, right there, folks. That comment right there.
Yeah.
Screenshot that. That's poetry right there.
Conservatives running around mad about corporate logos and beer marketing campaigns while the country is literally like gone. It's not here anymore.
I'm literally going to screenshot that now because I could do a whole episode on the Sam. You just really, I mean, that's the comment of the day right there. That's the cream of the crop this week right there. Sam as I am.
Yeah.
Keep them coming, Sam.
People that have never read the Constitution mad about Cracker Barrel. Okay.
Cracker Barrel.
Why would anyone eat there anyways? That is just poisonous food.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that and Aunt Jemima. Okay. Yep. Yeah, it is a great comment. Yeah, you loving that. Yeah, I mean, Sam's got some other goods. I mean, look, I'd be spending money on sheriff's deputies. How many sheriff? We knew plenty of constitutional sheriffs over the years that don't pay their deputies, or they can only pay them very small part-time wages. They would like to do more work, but they don't have the money because they're not getting it from the state. But the federal government's just throwing money around, deploying troops in cities. I'd be funding the sheriffs. Why? Because they're elected first and foremost. And so they're accountable. Give them some money so they can hire more deputies, because these are effective. Along with, there's lots of things you can do. And I do acknowledge the fact that the sheer numbers under the Democrats that they plowed into the country over the open border has made things very complicated, and it's not a problem that can be fixed easily overnight, but deploying the military, I don't think that's the right direction to go. Certainly not. That means that you've failed. That means that every level of government has failed, including the federal government, if they're throwing in troops in there. And it's just going to be for show. Is it actually going to change anything? It could create a reaction. Then you could have a Kent State type situation. Somebody gets shot, then you get then you get George Floyd times 10 if that happens.
That's assuredly what's going to happen. That's assuredly what the part of what the goal is with all this. Normalization. Yeah, John, normalization of the total police state. Hector made a similar comment. Militarizing the police is the objective. So getting citizens used to fear, propaganda, shock, and stress for another soon-to-be lockdown. This is exactly, those two comments right there are exactly what I'm talking about, and exactly I think what you're getting at too, Pat. It's like, even if this, let's just say, I'll put my MAGA hat on for a minute here and say, let's just say this is all a good reaction, right? And the thing that needs to be done to get rid of all the illegal migrants we have in the country. Even if you believe that, you still have to accept the failure that your system provided you to let all that happen, and look at the solution that they're giving you and realize, oh, if we're going to use military and militarized police to solve a political problem, a societal problem, that's going to become normal. That is, that is already become way too normal, but it's going to become even more normal if it goes on for the next 4 years while a portion of the population is cheerleading for it. And then what happens if, Gavin Newsom is the president next time and he says, you know what, I really like what Trump said about those red flag laws. We're going to use all those same military and militarized police to go through and conduct a 50-state red flag sweep done by backed by Palantir. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that's going to happen.
Jim Hatt, similar to the Patriot Act. Yeah, I mean, there's just unlimited amount of these things that they can roll out domestically, not for the threat of, you know, Islamic terror coming from Mossad. No, but domestic terror. And then you have, and you know, I'm just going to say this because this is, who's going to disagree with what I'm going to say? I don't think anyone's going to disagree. If there's such a thing or some kind of major domestic incident, it's a reaction to the police state. How much do you want to bet that Trump and all these grifters surrounding him and all the clowns at Fox are going to deem it terrorism and then have to, you know, and then you'll get that Patriot Act, that domestic Patriot Act, and they'll go full on against pretty much whatever's anti-government. These people who claim to be about liberty, who claim to be conservative, the problem is they get in power and they become your worst nightmare, and they become as authoritarian as the left, as Biden, as Obama, and even more so, even in some cases more so. In some areas like free speech, they're as bad, maybe worse. You know, the Democrats weren't deporting students for criticizing Israel. I mean, that's pretty extreme. But it just shows you that when these people get into power, left, right, whatever, when they get into power and they get the reins of power, the levers of power, they get intoxicated, they get high, they feel like they're gods, and they do the most insane things. They really do. We have too many examples of this, and then the Trump administration was elected to be the antidote to that, and they're becoming that. And we're less than a year in. We're less than a year in. I don't think he's going to survive, quite frankly. You know, he's going to have health issues, or something might happen, or they might engineer a situation that might happen. And then you get the full-on, once he's out of the way, full-on police state technocracy coming from the right. Watch. You know, and they'll rev it up. They want to, you know, they do everything possible to rev up tension. So, yeah, unbelievable. So, meanwhile, two World War III is about to kick off. We're literally arming Israel, preparing for a resumption to attack Iran in September, October. We're arming Ukraine with more missiles. And what's Alex Jones talking about this week? Oh, the globalists. Trump's trying to stop the globalists. You know,
I know.
I mean, I get the alerts. You know, I follow Alex. I'm on his mailing list. So, I mean, but large swaths of the alternative media, they can't do anything to criticize Trump, and he is pushing the world towards World War III. No, he's trying to stop World War III. No, you don't understand. The globalists. Who are the globalists? Who are they? Can we name them? Who's the cabal? Give me the top committee. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is the first president, a populist president, could wind the wars down, but he is escalating. There was no right to attack Iran at all. That was a bridge too far. You know, hitting nuclear facilities. I mean, how dangerous is this? But he did it because Israel told him to do it. We've got a president that is a sock puppet for Israel. I'm sorry, right there. Sock puppet for Israel. It's, I mean, and how? Why? How can you? Yeah, he thinks. Yeah, let's clean out Gaza. Of Trump saying, clean out, get the Palestinians out of Gaza. That's what he believes. How can this guy? These views are so divergent from the average person. But his base can't seem to hold him to account on this. The level of immorality and just pure barbarism is like so shocking, but so casually done. I have a hard time understanding where this is heading. It's not anything positive. Dangerous. The base can speak up and the base can discipline Trump if the base had the balls. Where is the base? Where's the base? Or does Trump care at this point? He looks terrified half the time. Have you noticed this?
It seems like a lot of world leaders have that look on their face lately, and I think that leads back to your monologue in the opening to the show. It's like when you were talking, I was sitting there thinking like, wow, I should get my pad and pen out and write a list of things that the Atlanticist bloc, the U.S., that NATO, that the EU could have done to stop this from happening. And it got too long. I had to stop. I was busy making a show post and doing a few other things to get ready to come on. So it's like, but that was really where my head was. It was like, think of all these things that could have been stopped, or policies could, they could have been sanctions, or something could have been used properly after Maidan or something like that. But I mean, it's even too late to look at post Maidan, because Lindsey Graham and John McCain were over there whipping up all these corrupt factions within their corrupt military. That was not a cohesive military at all. I don't know that it even is a cohesive military now. It was more like unsanctioned militias, and it was like a Mexican cartel, sort of how that military seemed to run. And we're sending senators over there to promise support, and we're sending special forces over there to train some of these people who have really sketchy patches on some of their gear. Like, what is, like, all that? It's just, and it's president after president after president. It's administration after administration. You were the one that brought this research to my attention back in 2013 or 14. And, we started working on it together, and it's just been like, I look back on the last decade, and it's like, no, this is what we wanted. This is absolutely what the plan was. And it's whoever's plan it is, it's executing, somewhat brilliantly, probably, in their estimation, while we're sitting here just going, this is insane. This does not make sense. We don't have any, as far as I can tell, the Overton window allows us to criticize Ukraine only when it benefits, the political situation here, when it pushes us towards, the next level of normalization. So we weren't allowed to talk about COVID or COVID shots during COVID. Afterwards, sure, it's fine. It's political. It's on South Park. It's on, Fox. It's everywhere. To very minuscule effect compared to like the amount of time and effort that we put into it for 2 years straight. Same thing with Ukraine now. It's just like all these topics have been completely destroyed by the mass media cartel, and politicized by the political body, and only wielded for political reasons and for identity politic insertion into the population to just keep us, messed up.
All true. Yes, I remember Joe Rogan 18 months in. I think there's might be something wrong with those vaccines.
Yeah. Sorry, I made you take that swab up the nose just to get in the door, bro. Here's
Get Robert Malone on to talk about it.
Yeah, talk about mass formation psychosis. Let's talk about some fun words.
Yeah, he totally cribbed off of Matthias Desmet from the university in, I think, in Netherlands or Belgium. I forgot which, but yeah. And then and then someone called Malone out on it. He went crazy, and I think he sued somebody for it. He's just busy suing everybody. Great guy. Tanya Welsh. Let's end with this, because we're going to wrap up the Overdrive, but let's keep it on the big geopolitical tip. Tana Welsh. Love the flags, by the way. Broken heart, American flag, Palestinian flag. Yep, I'm there. Historically, empires have protected hegemony domestically by encouraging left and right division, religious division and class division. Same story, different century. Yep. And sectarianism, in the case of the Middle East, we promote that, as does Israel, for the same reasons. And we're going to get more sectarianism in our countries because that's where this is headed if you're not careful. Because we're on that sectarian threshold right now where there's absolutely irreconcilable differences. And then it becomes generational. You're born into it. That's where they're taking us. And that's why we oppose these things early on. And we oppose the BS, a lot of the bullshit. Let's just swear there, you're fine, whatever. Because we know we know where it's heading. We've seen the accelerated end state of all this overseas, and our governments and our intelligence services, U.S. and Israel and Britain and France, they've cultivated that overseas, and they've revved it up, and they could collapse countries with this, and they have, and they know how to do it. That playbook of overthrowing governments, of subverting elections that the U.S. did overseas so effectively, they then brought it home and worked on that in 2016, 2020, 2022 midterms. Same stuff, the stuff we brag about, and we're still doing it in Romania and other places like that. So, anyway, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, and for those who don't, there's nothing I can tell you other than love above all. Says love above all. Reposted this stream! ! Yes, that's right. Brandishing the X logo there. Very nice. We have some. Oh, good. We have some attractive female listeners. That's always nice. Those are in few and far in between. Just saying, guys. We need more. We need more chicks.
Yeah, we need the ladies to share the stream. So thank you.
No disrespect to little Carle and some of our regulars there. We love you nonetheless.
We do have a good following, but we do need some more balance here. So that's great.
Yeah, we do. We need to ratio. Got to get someone in there for the ratio. It's good. The diversity. We need diversity quotas.
It helps the algorithm, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
It does. Well, the reason is because hot chicks attract more guys, and so the rising tide raises all ships, as they say.
That's right. And all you guys out there, just change your avatars to hot chicks. Maybe do that for a couple weeks and watch the show explode.
Exactly. It's that simple. And no honey pots. Thank you very much. We got no problems with those on other platforms.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, honey pots baiting people into crypto scams. Anyway, we're working on it. We're training some bots right now to deal with some of that stuff at source. So sorry, it happens. There's plenty of that, plenty of scam artists out there. Anyway, thank you for all your comments. You guys have been amazing. Just absolute. The engagement is off the charts. Love it. Again, apologies that we were off the air last couple of weeks, but we have a lot of stuff to do behind the scenes to try to, have some seamless support and different things that we can do to offset that. But it's hard doing live events and then doing the broadcast at the same time. There's a lot to do. But anyway, it's got to be done. Great success all the way around. Hesher, thank you very much. Final comments, and we're gonna exit right here. So yeah, give us a shout of what's happening this week out in your end of the digital universe.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everybody, in the chats at our Discord and on Rumble, on X, on YouTube. I don't monitor the Facebook one, but shouts out to anyone watching on Facebook. Also, if it happens to show up in your feed there, that's a story for another time. But yeah, we got a new episode of Boiler Room out. It's up at Alternate Current Radio. Most recent 2 episodes are up there. We had Jay Dyer and Jamie Hanshaw a couple of weeks ago, and Sam Chaney from Weaponized News. And this last week, Ruckus and Mystical Pharaoh and I were chopping up the latest and I wish I could say greatest news, but Yeah, so check us out. alternatecurrentradio.com is the website. We've got a support link up there if you want to support us. We are migrating some of our services so that we'll get our live player, our live audio player back up, and our 24/7 audio player back up. So we are reclaiming. We're in the middle of a big technical thing right now, sort of reclaiming some of our original features, some of our founding features, so we can have that pre-show airing on the live stream and all that good stuff. And big shouts out to a couple of people that donated and helped us achieve that. That was a bit of a pricey thing to accomplish, so we really appreciate that. I'll shout all those names out next week on Boiler Room, which will be on Thursday evening if all goes to plan. Great to have you back, Patrick, and look forward to doing this again next week. And I hope you have a successful remainder of your travel stint here, man.
Yeah. So another event coming up, so it should be good. And I just wanted to say, thank you, Hesher. Thanks to Ruckus, everybody else. I know a lot of people wanted to be here on this episode but couldn't make it, Basil Valentine included. But don't worry, we'll have Basil on soon enough, so don't worry about that. So we will reassemble. He's got a new studio, so he's quite stoked about that. So we'll reassemble the team for future episodes. But to take care, Hesher. All the best. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. That is Bryan McClain, a.k.a. Hesher, host of the Boiler Room and the captain of the Alternate Current Radio Starship, which is making its journey around the universe right now. And let me see what's see you soon, maybe midweek if you have time, Pat. We might be out of range, but we'll try to let you know. Just keep an eye on my X and Telegram accounts. Usually do updates there when we can. A lot of you saying we've reposted the stream. Thank you very much, those of you guys who've reposted the stream. We really appreciate that. I see quite a few people. I'll pop some of those up there who've done that. Thank you very much, you guys, for sharing this show. This show is so heavily censored on YouTube, it's not even funny. So I'm gonna have to camp out in front of YouTube headquarters and go on a hunger strike in San Bruno or something. I mean, what does it take for them to lift the restraints on our account that they've had for the last decade? Anyway, we're doing good on Rumble and some other platforms as well, and with your help, with your support, we will be doing more going forward. But go to 21stcenturywire.com, and the daily content that we're putting out, the research, the articles, the analysis has been fantastic. And a big part of that, of course, is Freddie Ponton, who is our associate editor for Global Affairs now. He's just doing incredible work. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's like one-stop shop for all the top issues. It's really invaluable. So we're doing that on a daily basis. So within time, we're going to bring a lot of these things together as they're coming together now. Thank you for your support. If you want to support us, go to the donate page. That's a gold highlighted box, upper left-hand corner on the website. Go to 21stcenturywire.com. Subscribe to 21wire.tv. Some of you have done that in the last couple of weeks. We really appreciate it. We need your help to do what we're doing. So if you like what we're doing, you want to see us do more of it and support us, we need your help. So this has been a fantastic program. One of the great conversations we've had. We have great listeners. We've got a great audience. The commenters are amazing. I mean, I love it. Hesher loves it as well, as Ruckus and Basil. And I hope you guys enjoyed what we had to offer this week. Shorter than normal show, but punchy. So thank you for joining us this week on the Sunday Wire. Midweek Wire, maybe not. We're going to be on the road in Eastern Europe. I've never been to the Balkans before, but it'll be my first time. It'll be a real eye-opener. Hopefully we'll have a lot to say about that next week or the week after. Who knows? But next Sunday, we'll see how it goes. It might be tricky as well, because we're going to be on site at a major event. So we'll see what we can arrange, but it's very possible we might not be on the air next Sunday again. After that, we should have a good stream of continuity after that. But that's just how it is this time of year. It's busy, a lot going on, and that's great on one level. On another level, there's a lot of work we need to do to coordinate to keep things moving in the right direction. But thank you for joining us. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. It's been fantastic. And yeah, don't forget about the Palestinian children, as Peyote for President reminds us. So take care, you guys. All the best. We'll see you soon.
All of the pictures left unpainted, all of the games they left unplayed, all the laughter in the playground, all of the arts they never made. Ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. All of those voices left in silence, all with their names written in kind, lest their bodies pulled from rubble, lifeless empty dolls to find. Ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. What are the songs they've never written? What are the words they'll never sing? And the darkness of the nightmare, inescapable that rings. The ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. I hear the crying, helpless children, God's most precious and most dear. I hear them begging for the reason. How could you ever leave us here? I close the eyelids of a million Palestinian children. So what do we really stand for? Is this how our future's made? And when we ever find the courage to stand up unafraid, I tear away the persecution of the Palestinian children. Rise up and be the guardians of the Palestinian children. To respect our obligation, every creed and every nation, 'cause every soul deserves protection. Save the Palestinian children. Save the Palestinian children.